Kelly, good to have you back.
Oh, okay. It's your speed machine, I see.
There you go, peeps.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands. We picked up our group at the Alden Village Center, headed out Honia Egypt Road through Grand Lake Estates. All of that's on film. The Hills Parkway, the Keenan Cutoff, 149, the Springbranch Road. Lots of action there. Through Tri-Lakes, we filmed all the way into Dobbins until we got across 105. Turned off the camera. We went through Dacus, Johnson Road, FM 1097, Bethel, into the forest, came down 149, Hidden Forest Road. Lots of climbing on this ride, about 1,000 meters. Stopped at Taco, went out Mill Route, Raven Chapel, Capitol Hill to Fishcreek, and came in. I think on Fishcreek we filmed the entry back into town, but I think you would love the clips that we put together for you. Lots of action on this ride and a good strong pace.
Happy, my brother.
We're leaving the Alden Village Center.
I am doing well,
Come say a prayer with me.
My
Come
brother
say a prayer.
from another mother. That's what he usually says. That's how Abby greets
Come
us.
say a prayer with me, my brother.
Abby usually prays before the ride starts when he organizes stuff. So Paul is requesting that he say a prayer here.
Heavenly Father, as we go out today, Lord Father, again, we thank you for the blessings and the means to sacrifice. Oh God, we just thank you for our friends. We pray that we have a fellowship as we ride together, Lord. And Lord Father, I pray for your edge of protection around us. And that we will carry your light wherever we go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, Abby
Thank
needs
you.
to pray more than anything because he's a scoundrel on the roads. His brakes don't work very well. He's always running stop signs, running lights. So we always tease him about that. But he's a good fellow. So you will hear him say he did not want to.
Yeah, if I don't organize the ride, except if I'm asked to pray, I don't want to be like I'm jumping in. But if it's my ride that I organize, then
Man, you're welcome to do that here. Yeah, man. I look forward to that.
So he said if he's not organizing the ride, he doesn't want to impose, but hey, I'm never going to say no to a prayer. We can use all the prayers we can get. Pray for ourselves, pray for our country, pray for our leaders, everything. That we're able to live in peace. We pray for all our soldiers, the military. This is the Saturday before Memorial Day weekend. Those who gave everything for this country.
oh yes.
So we're on Research Forest Boulevard. I'm up front. This is Doug on the left. In a few kilometers, his rear wheel will start making a knocking noise when we get out to Springbranch Road. So we help him with the diagnosis. He was able to sort it out after the ride. Something to do with his cassette and bearings.
Beautiful. I was thinking I'll see you guys on Gosling when I was going up. I think I got there before you guys.
When?
I thought this morning.
Oh, this morning?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I thought I'll see you guys on Gosling as usual.
Yeah, we were just going too slow for your blood.
No.
Yeah, in the morning we try to catch up on things during the week.
Yeah. Which is good. So it's a warm-up phase anyway.
Yeah, what Abby is talking about, he rides the same route to get out here.
To just get loose.
And he didn't see us. He said he needs an hour to get loose.
Yeah, we try to do the same thing.
So Paul was letting him know in the morning we're catching up. We ride pretty moderately unless we're late,
Doug, looking sharp, man. I like that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, Doug
like that.
is wearing the Woodland Cycling Club colors, the race team colors. We have a lot of cyclists in the area, but we're kind of fragmented into so many groups, and we're trying our best to get together, meaning that even though we have different groups, we can still join different rides. So 2 days after this, we joined the Victory Cycling Club ride. They were having a Memorial Day ride, and we joined them. That was good. So we're trying to keep, the cycling world is already small. We don't need to break up into smaller fragments. We're trying to get to where we all know what's going on with each other. Mo had put a meeting together just about that, to kind of get the groups together. We're kind of scattered because, this area is pretty big, and the city of Houston might as well be a country. It's huge. We're on the north side, and even on the north side, it's big. So we got groups all over. So we're doing our best to know what's going on with other groups and visit other rides. Sometimes even during the week, Abby and them they'll host a ride a couple of times. Or sometimes Tuesday and Thursday they'll host a ride. So sometimes if we can, we'll try to join them. That's the goal. So there's always stuff going on, and we just haven't been tapped into each other. We're getting to improve that situation. We're stopping for this light at Branch Crossing. We had a good turnout. We have about 10 riders.
So if your muscles
It's not your fault, right?
It occurred to me when she was out there. She jumped up on the car.
What they were talking about, I don't know if you overheard Kenny telling Doug on the left that if your muscles are not used to that position, because the TT bike is a different position. It's not a road position. You're using your muscles differently. Your hips are rolled forward more. You know, they're like 80-something degrees, seat tube angle, that kind of stuff. So it's a different way that you're pedaling. I personally prefer my road position. And a lot of cyclists do. They'll do the TT and put that bike up. So, different discipline, different recruitment of the muscles.
United.
So because Doug has a TT bike, he will spend a lot of time on the back or in the front when he gets on those bars. He does not get on the bars when he's in the pace line. What he's holding right now, the regular, he doesn't get on the TT bars themselves. He's holding where you can steer right now. And that's the way you should do. You should never get on your TT aero position if you're riding a TT bike with a group, unless you're the lead or you're behind the group and you give yourself some room, because you don't have the steering ability. And a lot of groups frown on that, rightfully so, because it's more dangerous to everybody, including the rider of the TT bike, because you can't steer, you can't brake, you know. So you should do that only when you're cruising and you're not following another rider closely. Some groups will not even allow a TT bike in their pace line. I think that's a bit extreme. I think if the rider is somebody like Doug who understands, now he's in the line, he's holding the bars where his brakes are available and he can steer. That's where you should be when you're following on your time trial bike. And not just in a group. If you're riding your time trial bike and you get on a bumpy road or a busy intersection or something, you don't want to be all in the TT position. You want to be able to steer and brake. So you should be like that until you get out of the busy section and you're kind of in overdrive, so to speak. When I competed, I would just put a clip on my road bike. It was before the TT bikes were a big thing.
You rode with Lee's uncle yesterday. You rode with Lee's uncle yesterday.
Yeah, I did. I got out on a Friday, just spin my legs.
Yeah.
Bob, Liz, Laura, and
they have not put on there. They have not put on their description.
yeah. And Dave, remember you used to ride with the Dave Thomas or what was
Yeah,
he? Yeah, he was there too.
Yeah, I saw that,
Yeah. It was a good spin.
With them. This is me back.
Yeah,
It's a very beautiful
that's
morning.
right.
I told her, I said she's not in the big
22
league.
Celsius.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to
We
see
had
all
a
those guys
very,
again.
very
Yeah.
nice
Nice feel.
build up towards summer. We're still having spring temperatures that edge in summer temperatures later in the day. But every morning for the last couple of weeks, we've been starting around 18, 19 Celsius, which is about 67, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Very unusual for May in Southeast Texas. So we'll take it. I had a very, very good training week. I did most of my riding by myself
Always
for the
has
most
some
part.
that are different
Yeah,
patterns.
yeah,
So I tell you that for ADH guys like me,
yeah.
it gives me a headache.
Oh man. It makes you wonder. I like it. He has his own style. His own unique style. Yeah.
Abby's talking about Doug's putting two different kind of socks together with different patterns, and him being ADD, I guess attention deficit disorder. He said Abby says it bothers him when there are too many patterns. I went over there to push the signal because there are no cars behind us.
Acknowledgement. Yeah, just your presence acknowledgement.
You look very sharp.
Well, thank you. You always look squared away. Inspection
Mike
ready with your
Barreras.
polished, your patent leather cycling shoe. Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done.
So Mike
Yeah, sorry for a bigger
Barreras
ring. I
is
put a
trying
bigger
to
ring
get
on the front.
back into top form.
Yes, sir.
Remember that nail sticking out of my tire on Thursday?
I know. That was wild.
So I'm whispering something to Laura and Mike, our new transplanted Californians and VH aficionados. And then the light changes, and Mike and my pedal hits his wheel. I'm supposed to be careful. I was about to turn around, but I'm about.
Okay, cool.
So I was telling Paul what I was whispering to him. I'm going to be releasing a video about some of the Souke challenges. They've got some nice challenges. I did a 100-kilometer challenge for them, and they sent a jersey, you know. And so I will put the link in the video when I do the challenge. The jersey just came. I have not opened it yet or anything, but it's a beautiful white jersey. I don't have that many white jerseys
His light is not on.
that are race face. He's talking about Mike Barreras' rear light. It's not on the cycle light. Probably isn't aware of it. But I didn't want to mention it. I thought we'll tell him later.
It's good.
So what I was saying is that I will release the video because they're offering free gloves, and all you got to do is ride 100 kilometers. I know many people on this channel, 100 kilometers is about 62 miles. Many people on this channel can do that easily. So not free gloves, I get free socks, I believe. I was looking at the challenge rules. And all you got to do is take a picture of your kit, of the Souke kit that you're wearing when you do the 62 miles, load it on Instagram and tag them. And by tag, what they mean is you could do a hashtag to there. They tell you what to do. It's not hard to do to get free stuff. I'm all for getting free stuff because they make some nice stuff. So instead of you buying socks, if you already got Souke gear and you wear it, you just put it on Instagram, they ship you socks. Can't beat that. Then they're offering discounts and other things if you want to get more stuff. If you want to get the jersey, I think it's 30% off or something. So The rules of the jersey said you got to be a Souke VIP. So I've already put in a query to my contact at Souke asking how does one become a Souke VIP? Because they didn't say that in the rules. You know, if somebody wants the jersey and they got to be a VIP, you need to tell us how we become a VIP. As long as it doesn't cost me anything, I don't mind. You know, the average person, yeah. If all you got to do is fill out something to become a VIP and get 30% off, I'll take it. So I'm trying to get the rules so I can mention it when I do the video. So as soon as I get all the details, I will release the video. I don't like to release videos with lacking information. And you end up with all kinds of questions, you know. So you might as well, if you give people information, give them everything.
Yeah, looks nice. We got the color coordination over there.
Damn, I gotta break my. I don't think you've ever seen me in a TT bike yet.
I've seen you. You brought it once, yeah.
On this
Your Mike's talking about his P5.
Yeah, it's a P5,
Velo P5.
isn't it? Huh? It's a P5.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you brought it and show it to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Mike has just moved to a new house and he's been busy getting things squared away. So he hasn't been riding much, if at all. So he needs a few weeks to get in top form. And so, but he's still coming out and he's using all his wits and experience to ride as he builds his fitness. By wits and experience, what that means is no mental mistakes. He's sitting in when necessary. He's not expending unnecessary energy, all that kind of stuff.
I get concerned when you guys break up those.
We're on the open road, the FM 2978. This is the section called Honia Egypt Road, and we're going to turn on Honia Egypt Community Road. You'll hear me mention that to Mike. This section here is called Honia Egypt Straight. At the light, they begin Sendera Boulevard with the arrow. Then on the left, it says Honia Egypt Community Road. That's where we're headed. We're going to go into the Grand Lake Estates today. I put the route together to give us the most climbing in this area on this route. So we'll get about 1,000 meters of climbing, about 3,200 feet.
There's a creek called Fishcreek. Not the bridge. Yeah.
So what Mike is asking about, Mike is really into details. So he's asking when it becomes Fishcreek. It's further down. There is a creek somewhere out there in Honia called Fishcreek. I've seen it on the map. Not much. I mean, unless you live in the community, you won't see it. And that's what they named it, Fishcreek Thoroughfare. You know, it's a historical thing because back in the day, you couldn't go straight. The golf course used to block. That bridge was not there. You know, the road just ended, and now it's open. So this section is called Honia Egypt Community Road. It's going into the community of Honia, Texas. But we're only going to use a section of it to take us to the Grand Lake Estates.
Yeah.
Mike waving at the wildlife, the deer. Mike grew up in San Diego on the beach, and he's not used to seeing wildlife just hanging out about. So he really, Mike waves at the cows, the horses, he greets them, you know. That's cool. So since he's been here, you know, I mean, not that we took things for granted. I've become even more appreciative of our inhabitants, let's say. Because I always mess with the squirrels in my area. You know, I like the animals. But just, you know, you look at those horses and the muscles on them and all the eater plants, you know. You don't need a lot of meat to get. People think that protein, you get in secondhand. Get protein, get it from the plants. You know, it's just, you don't need to tag yourself. Just reduce the reliance on meat. Your meals will cost less. Unless you shop at Whole Foods, which we avoid. Paul told me about a place called Trader Joe's. I'm going to check them out. He said they got some sweet potatoes there. Yeah, so. As I said earlier, I had excellent legs. I was never under any pressure on this ride. It doesn't happen very often, but it's nice to experience that because a few weeks ago I had all kinds of little niggling issues, hamstring issues, lower back issues, and they've been sorted out simply by riding Zone 2 or less, solo, for the last 3 weeks, mostly during the week, and just let my body rest. That's it. I didn't get no shots, no cortisone shots or anything like that. I just let my body rest, and I did a lot of stretching and military exercises, you know, push-ups, shoulder curls and raises, that kind of stuff. Just with gravity. So for a change, I felt 100%. Well, since last week, I've been feeling good. I was just holding out, but this week I felt great. It's nice. You hear the wind? It's always out here. I dub it, you know, by about probably 40. I guess 35-40%. The software brings the decibels down, and you know, Final Cut Pro is what I use, and this is something that was designed for people in Hollywood and so forth that use them.
I'm behind you.
And when I got into it, I wanted to make sure I used quality software to produce quality film, regardless of the number of views it got. I wanted it to not just be a dump, and so the software will balance the wind noise, the car noise, the conversation, and you run a program that analyzes the entire raw audio original file and it sorts it out for you. It takes a little bit of time to do, so I kick it off when I'm processing the film. I kick it off and go do other things. And once it's done its magic, then I balance what they call the noise removal, the loudness, the hum removal, and those things. And over the years, I've gotten really good at it. So you get to experience everything. The wind is not going to overpower if someone says something on camera. Like if Paul says something, you can still hear it. You can hear the conversation. So it will be like you were there. So I put a lot of time into producing these films because that's just the way I am. If I'm going to be doing something, it needs to be done right, aka squared away. Mike Barreras, San Diego, Texas Mike. Yeah. Certain people just come around, you just like them as soon as you meet them. He's one of them. Some people grow on you over time, you know. But Mike is like a WYSIWYG kind of guy. What you see is what you get. Whatever's on his mind, he's gonna let you know. So you don't have to wonder what he's thinking. If he has an issue with you, he'll let you know, and then it's done. It's water under the bridge, and you all move on. And that's the way it should be. There's no point in keeping anything unnecessary in the database. AKA your brain. I got my Rene Hurst tires on my Zip 101. I've been having rotten luck with my fancy tires. I bought those tires a while back, and the first ride I took it out on, glass cut it. So I tried to salvage the cut by gluing the cut. Well, you know how it is. These tires are very sensitive. I could feel it when it was rolling, so I didn't care for it. So I filed the glue down a little bit, and it just never worked the same. So I'm riding with it now, which the hole is covered with the glue. But by the time I got home, the hole was wider. It performed great on this ride because I love the way they handle and everything. So I just bit the bullet and ordered another one. So there's one on the way because I chucked the front tire after this ride. It just wasn't, the cut kept getting wider and wider. Same thing happened to my Veloflex. The sidewall got damaged. And so I ordered another one, you know. So the high quality tires, yeah, they got their issues, but you got to pick which roads you use them on. You don't want to train on them. And you got to read the road when you use them. This is Kelly.
Superstar
Kelly and Laura and what's her name? Kim. Let's see, Terry. I've mentioned it before. These ladies represent. You come out here with your B game, they're going to make you work. I told them at the end of this ride, I think it's on camera, you'll see it at the end. I tapped them on the shoulder of Chia Laura. I said, you ladies are representing. They don't mess around. They get to the front, they start working. Kelly's been pulling. She was doing the work. So Terry's not here with us. She's got an event coming up, so she's purposely training for an event called Unbound that she's going to attend. And then Kimberly rode with us on Monday on the Memorial Day ride for a part of it. So we have a lot of strong ladies in the area. They can hold their own. Laura is 2022 campione, as the Italians say, champion, from the Northern California, Nevada district. So Laura's got her Palmares. I love this road. It does not mess around. You come on this road, it just makes you want to work. Our group has gotten faster. Those of you like Patrick Parasien and others that have been here, I've noticed that. Patrick even commented about it. The group has gotten faster over the years based on the injection of people that have shown up to join us riding. So you want to get faster, you got to do faster events, ride with faster riders. You got to mix that in with your steady training. You know, look for the rides happening in your area. Do your work, your preparatory work by yourself, but then join some of those groups. You don't have to do a lot of, all group rides, but mix them in enough to where you stress yourself on your hard days. And not every group ride is super fast. I mean, we have group rides where these guys will call it a coffee ride or something. But there's always someone who wants to push things, and if you feel up to it, you can still join, you know. But just make sure you're paying attention to your recovery. That's very important. It is paramount. No matter how much you ride and how well you're going, make sure you watch recovery so you don't get burned out or overtrained. Because if you overtrain too much, it's hard to come back from it. It takes a lot of focus to come back from it. It takes time. You got to back off. You know, sometimes you have to just get off the bike because you get sick of riding. So if you lose your out the door, find out why. If you don't have a desire to go out on your bike to do the sport you love, something's up. Then you need a review. That's why you should keep a log with notes and stuff so you know what's going on and what you're doing. I hope this helps those of you who are uncoached or not familiar with that. So as we approach this place, there are a couple of cars sitting there, and I guess their code didn't work. So the guy asked if we had a code. So I'll go ahead and just let him in because we have one that works. We have a cyclist that lives in here.
Yeah, that's my favorite color.
So the exit gate is open, and in a little while these guys decide, well, let's just go through the exit gate. Well, I'm already committed to helping the guy get in, so I just stay there and finish what I was doing. Because once you've messed with the dial, the panel,
No, we can't do that.
you have to wait for the whatever the other person was doing to clear before you enter the correct code. That's what Mike Burr said. This will make too much sense. Usually that's what we'll do. Whatever gate is open, we'll go through carefully because this is the exit gate. They're going through that. I'm still there letting the guy in. By the time they get here, you can see my watts going up. I'm pedaling now. I'm coming through the correct gate. So those cars wait till all of us come over to the right. And one of the guys said he was going to the golf course, to go to do some work. Probably one of the handymen. So those guys get a code, but then, if it's changed, they don't know. That's the guy going to the golf course, though. This is the Grand Lake Estates. In the area, we call it the neighborhood. So whenever you say we're going through the neighborhood, everybody in this area, this part of town knows what you're talking about. Or we went through the neighborhood. It's always quiet. It's got a few speed bumps. You got to call them out. They do that to slow drivers down. They even added like little cat eye bubbles. They're like circular knobs of porcelain, and you don't want to hit that. You will see them. They're white. They're at the bottom of the speed bump. Somebody will call them out.
You know that Darren speaks the King's English?
Darren speaks what?
He speaks the King's English.
Those are the bumps I'm talking about. They added little circular cat eye domes on the ground, spaced apart. Probably to let people make sure that they're going in the proper direction, in combination with forcing them to slow down. I guess. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Somebody lifted the pace. You can tell right here that I'm feeling good. Look at that. I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the pace. I love that. I had no discomfort in my hamstring or my lower back. That's been going on for the last month or so. And so it was nice to be back. On Monday, we did a Memorial Day ride. We had just a big turnout. Probably 25 or more riders, just huge. And it was the Victory Cycling Club in the area. They had the ride on Facebook. And thanks to Laura for letting us know about it, because we live here, but I didn't know about that ride. Apparently it's an annual thing. So there's a lot of stuff that may be going on in your area, and you're just not aware of it, because you don't know every cycling group. If you go to a shop when you move to an area, they'll tell you about what they know. But going on Facebook and checking out, but just really talking to other cyclists, because Laura knows more about the cycling going on around here than we do, and we've been here, and even Mike Barreras. It's just a matter of talking to people, at each ride you go to. Keep your ears open and ask questions. That's pretty much, that helps. So I feel pleasantly pleased that we were able to do the Memorial Day ride. We ended up wearing the flags, the Old Glory jerseys, stars and stripes, to honor our military. Those who have given the ultimate sacrifice so that we can be free to ride our bikes or do whatever it is we want to do. Live in a peaceful society. So I soft pedal as they slow down, because even though I feel good, I'm not going to waste any energy. I'm going to save it for later. This is a long ride. We're doing almost 80 miles with the group, and then Paul and I have another 10 one way, let's say 10 or 11 one way. So by the time we got home, it was like I had 99.1 miles. That's close enough. And that wasn't the goal, it's just the hours. Listen to the wind. That might be Kenny at the front. I don't know who's pulling. That's a good pace. I'm consciously relaxing my fingers as we go up. You see my hand just folded on the side? I am not grabbing the bars. I want to make sure they stay relaxed. Because even if your position is right, if you grab the bars too tightly, kind of like a death grip, you can cut off the circulation in your hand or your fingers. Those are the speed bumps. I'm letting people know coming up. If you look on the ground, you see the little white balls there. You don't want to hit that. That is not pleasant. And if you hit it too hard, it might cause a puncture. They put that there to make sure these guys slow down, because that the speed bumps are kind of smooth, and probably some drivers were just rolling at a higher speed than they wanted them to over those speed bumps. See the watts go up, the road's going up.
Come back.
As soon as I hear car by, you see I just kind of glide. You want to make your changes smoothly. Use your hips. This whole time we're going up. It says 1%. I'm settling a little bit. That was Paul's computer beeping to let him know that was a sharp turn we just went into. It kind of, it does that as part of the feature. They added new features on my 1040 that I was unaware of, but I've been experiencing it. It's nice. It basically displays every climb. I think I got to find out what the limits are, because the climb has to be a certain length. It has to be about a minute or so, I believe. But I'm not sure they're doing it by time in the program. It's probably by distance. But what I've noticed is most of the climbs that it shows the display of takes me about a minute to a minute and a half. It's kind of good to know when I want to do repeats. I can pick a climb that's long enough and do repeats on it. But it lays a graphical overlay of the climb, and by pictures and color coding it, it tells you where the steep pitches are, and you can basically see where you are on the climb and where you're going to hit. I glanced at it. It was kind of nice. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't show my cadence. I like to see my cadence. So I'm going to dig deeper into that feature. It came with one of the updates. As I told you guys last week, with the problems I've been having, I went ahead and updated to the latest firmware and everything they had, and that was in there. So it's a nice thing. So every climb I experienced on this ride, it gave me a pictorial display of the outline of the climb. It just beeps too much. When you finish, it's like, it does like a celebratory chime. Everybody can hear it. So I gotta find a way to turn those beeps down or off or something. Break out the manual and I get a bit of time. Because I'm sure it's in there. I'm trying to keep my knees in as much as possible. It just felt good here. Anytime the watts go over 350 watts, I'm working because I'm above FTP. My FTP is right around probably 300. It varies with your fitness, of course. I don't do the testing that often because it's not a whole lot of fun. staying really close, trying to keep my effort down as much as possible. Gate is going to be closed when we get there, and we'll wait for a car to activate it.
How do we get out of here?
Not climbing that thing.
A lot of times we'll climb over the fence on the right and walk around and enter the code, because the code box is on the other side of the fence. So we'll go ahead and roll through here.
It's an addition to what you gave.
Yeah, I think I have 3 different ones now.
Yep, you gotta keep them all. You never know when it's gonna change.
Exactly.
This section of this area is called the Hills Parkway. So Abby's rolling up the front there because he went and entered the code. Mike Barreras.
Hey, Abby,
We stopped
wait
messing
up.
with him. He says, Abby, wait up. And I say, I'm going to say have mercy or something like that. Because he always says have mercy.
Flat tire.
He said flat tire, so she hears flat. Laura pulls over. I told her, no, he's messing around.
That's okay.
No.
Oh, we got it fixed. We got it fixed.
He's messing around. Trying to slow them down.
Mike, that was cold.
You got to do it. It's works every time.
Abby's up ahead. I believe this is paid.
You don't want to go too hard too early,
Yeah.
especially if you haven't been riding, you know. Because nowadays it takes me like 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need at least about 45 minutes to an hour to really loosen up. That's why we ride to most of our rides. Mike's not warmed up yet. But he gets up to Abby and they start to chat, so I just go up past them. Go ahead and take a little bit of a pull. Abby's gonna come around and go to the front in a little bit. Just keeping the pace going.
Hey, Mike. That man was mine. You took him from me.
They're fighting to be behind the big boy Darren here.
Yeah, in a race, we'd be headbutting in a race.
You get a better draft from somebody your size or bigger. A little taller than you are. Those little people, you don't get much of a drag. You got to put your nose over your stem. This will take us to Keenan Cutoff. We are in the area called Keenan. We're heading towards the Keenan Cutoff Road that we'll use to go out to
No, it's
Springbranch.
okay, man. I was joking.
I get good draft off you.
And so he said, yeah, you can have Darren because I get a good driver for you because we're all about the same build. So, yeah. That's kind of how you have to do things. When it gets really hard, you don't want to be behind a very little rider if you can help it. So your interval could be like what Abby's doing right now. You could go to the front of the group, pull for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, however long you feel like it won't mess with your ability to continue with the group. You could do your intervals with the group, but you need to make sure you're not going into the red, because not everybody's going to want to slow down when you need to recuperate. So you got to train the kind of intervals where you're going hard and you're recovering at a moderate pace. That way when you get back in the group, you can be recovering. I sit on Abby's wheel. I'm going to stay on his wheel until we get the Keenan cut off. So you will see a representation of what I just talked about as far as doing a hard effort and recovering at a slightly lower pace. So you're not really slowing down all the way to zone 1 to recover. There are different kinds of intervals. So when people say interval training, it's such a broad area that you have to be a little more specific before you go out and try it, because there are so much involved when it comes to interval training. There are different varieties of interval training. The road goes up here. So don't worry so much about, oh, I live in an area that aren't a whole lot of steep climbs. A very steep climb, if you don't have the ratio, you're not really riding. You're just pushing to get over it. So you need to find a climb between 3 to 6, 7%. And you can do repeats on them in larger gears to replicate the effort you would have on a 12% climb or something like that, if that's all you have in your area. So when someone says, oh, you call that a climb, that's a lack of inexperience speaking, because you need to work with what you have available to you. This is Keenan cutoff. It's clear. We turn. Abby's going to pull off the front, and I'm going to take over.
My brother from another mother.
Yes, sir.
That's how Abby greets us. A brother from another mother. You are your brother's keeper. We are our brother's keeper. Doug Shop, decked out in the Woodland Cycling Club colors of 2023. can see the road goes up, the watts go up. So even if you don't have a power meter, you want to gauge the effort. I'm keeping it right around sweet spot. Listen to your legs to help you decide which ratios you want to maintain your rhythm. That's why you can't train by speed. The speed is going down, but look at the watts going up. The grade and the wind is doing that. And Mike Barreras is using every little trick in the book. The crafty wizard from San Diego, California. So when you're pulling, it is an interval. I am doing a sweet spot interval. You need to have trained enough to know that you can do that and recover quickly and go again. Otherwise, you will have problems if the group speed changes or someone decides to raise the pace. So don't stay there longer than you need to when you're doing your interval, your work interval, so to speak. You're helping the group along. You are not required, but if you fit enough, why not? You need to help the group you're riding with. That is only fair. I could have stayed longer, but I decided to go ahead and pull off. In a little bit, I will pull off. And let Darren lead us into the edge of Keenan towards Springbranch Road. Go ahead and pull off so that Darren can take over. It's a relatively flat area. He'll be able to hold his rhythm and ease into his work interval. This will lead us to Highway 149. We're headed west. We're going to be heading north when we get on 149. And it's about maybe a kilometer and a half, about a mile, to the turnoff onto Springbranch Road. 49 on the edge of Keenan. We turn right, tell them car back so we can use the shoulder. It's a busy highway, fairly high speed. It's a courtesy. I'm sure the other users of the road appreciate it. You see how much space he gave us. That's what we normally experience. Every now and then you get somebody who wants to misbehave. But that's, as the French say, c'est la vie. It's life. Not much you can do about it. You just keep on keeping on. So as we go, we'll descend here and go up the climb in the distance. And after that climb, the Springbranch turnoff will be about maybe 100 meters after the top of the climb. Whenever we go around here, I hang back a little bit. There's a lot of debris, so I can see what's coming. We use our mirrors to be able to see without turning our heads. So Paul's using his mirror and he's able to let them know what's happening. We take the lane, so if any other car shows up behind us, he'll know what we're doing. And we turn on the Springbranch Road. So we're on that very busy road for about a mile, let's say. Mike's looking behind to make sure everybody has made the turn successfully. This is when Doug comes by and I hear his rear wheel just clunking away. You hear it? So as he comes by, he tells me, how you like that sound? Or something like that. Listen to it. It just started. It's intermittent. So that's what. So I'll go ahead and tell him what I think it is. I know it's a bearing noise. The free hub bearings, or the wheel bearings. It's bearings related because his wheel is perfectly done. It's clean. His drivetrain's clean. He keeps up with stuff. So, it's a new bike he's setting up, and something's off. That's all. He sorted it out, as I mentioned earlier, after the ride. But it helped him to know. He posted on the board and thanked us for helping him diagnose the problem. Because that's the problem with bicycles. It's hard to diagnose noises. Once you find it, it's easy to repair. The repair is easier than the diagnosis, usually. There's Loretta. Kelly's back there, chatting with, who's that? Let's see. Kenny. Yeah, Kenny is next to Kelly. And I think that's Pedro behind him. It's a good shot here. This is where the kamikaze dog used to live. He hadn't been here in a while. I guess he moved. In a little bit, some lady is on this side of the road checking mail, and she decides to pull out. I guess she didn't see us. So it's like all of a sudden we see a car coming to us head on. She's not going fast, but we're going fast. So it just startled us. Because the mailboxes are on this side of the street, so they have to check on that side. So she's parked facing east, which is opposite traffic. Somewhere around here. Blind corner, right there. She wasn't going fast, but we were going faster than she was. And whenever you have a situation where someone is on the wrong side of the road, do not correct to go on their side, because the instinct of that person will always be to go where they should be, where they belong. So always correct on your side, meaning in that situation, I'd go in the grass. I wouldn't take this side of the road. There's a farm machinery sitting over there. So always remember that. Because once the person realizes they're on the wrong side, they will go to the correct side. And if you happen to use that to correct, you guys will have a head on. I learned that a long time ago from some engineers. It says human nature. You want to go where you belong when you realize you're not there. You're not in the correct spot. It's just instinct. But I realized here Doug is pulling we're going fast. He's testing his time trial bike, I guess. And we're going fast towards the 10% climb or so that's coming up in about probably 3 kilometers. So I kind of expected some action based on how he was taking us there, how fast we're riding towards the climb. I'm micro-adjusting my shoe for comfort. I love the Boar adjusters. You move them a millimeter at a time. You can fine-tune them. It bothered me all day long. I'm not sure what was going on with them, but I got it sorted. Just from time to time. We're doing 44K. That's about 26, 27 miles an hour towards this thing. Like, I guess we're late for something. So right here, I go ahead. It's going to hurt anyway. I figure I'm going to go. I didn't realize I went over 1,000 watts. But that's the steepest pitch. So I open the gap and I just go ahead and sit down and keep working. I'm way above FTP, of course. So I sit down. My goal is to keep it, decent. And whoever comes to me will have to work. So the grade has lessened where I am. They're still back here climbing. Once they get off the grade, they're gonna chase up to me. Doug will bridge up and bring Paul along. So just the two of them show up. So Paul speeds up here and gets on Doug's wheel. You can see my watts. I'm doing 400 some watts in the distance because the road goes back up after that climb. That's not the only climb. That's why you got to know what you're doing. If you blow back there, you will struggle here. I'm riding the edge of the road because that's what they shave. I don't like the feel of that. I stay on the edge. So it's Doug riding the thing. So he comes by, I see the wheel, and I accelerate immediately and get on the wheel. My heart rate says 170 beats per minute. It did not feel that hard. I wasn't paying attention to that. So at this point, I'm thinking, should I go again? I decide, nah, let me just sit in. In a little while, the group will catch up because they had to work a little bit to come up because only Paul and Doug came up. So I just decided to sit on his wheel. I'm feeling really good. You see my heart rate is dropping. I'm not watching that. My heart does what it needs to do to get the nutrients to my muscles. I pay attention to my legs more than anything. That's what's pedaling the bike. My heart ain't pedaling the bike. You can see we're accelerating a little bit. Paul's going to accelerate and get back off. I'm in a pretty good sized gear. RPM's around 80 or so. I got to stay low a little bit, but that's my normal position. Doug is not too tiny, He's probably 5'10" or so it's pretty good, easy to follow him. So right here, I just settled into the rhythm and said, okay, let Doug do the work. Doug wants to test this bike, test himself, whatever. I said, okay, let me let him work. Since he's on his TT bars, he wants to stay at the front. I put it in a bigger gear and just stand. Unzipping my jersey, I believe. I went up that hill, my body got a little warm, but the breeze is nice. So everybody's ridden up to us. Road's going up here, just slight grade. Let's say 2%. Yeah. I don't know if I stood or not. It felt pretty good. So if you make an effort and then you in this situation, if you feel good, you have an opportunity. You could trade pulls at the front, or you sit in, try to recover, so that when someone goes again, you'll be ready to go. You will see that in a little bit when we get to the end of this road and we turn left. Kenny takes off, and until we get into Dobbins area, he's pushing hard, and we have some crappy roads and all of that. But I'd already recovered. Like, yeah, I could go again. I could have gone again when Doug came. But that's the kind of training I've been doing to get myself ready. So if you're going to do an effort during a group ride or in a competition, make sure you've done something similar in training. You can never really replicate what will happen in a group ride or in a race, but you can get pretty close. But if you haven't done it in training, then it will be a shock to your system because you won't be able to process the sugars and the glycogen and the ATP and the creatine that your muscles use outside of aerobic efforts. Because what I did on that hill back there was an anaerobic effort. I was in a 5317 or something ridiculously big like that, 84, 85 inch gear, and I went up a 10% climb. It was short. You know, on a long climb, if I did that, I would have to back off and settle in like I did here. Because after doing that, I had to settle in and finish this. But you've got to prepare yourself. And that's why we do a lot of base training before you start doing something like this. Because it's very intense. Don't get off the couch and start doing anaerobic intervals. You will fry yourself. You have to train yourself, depending on the kind of riding you're doing, to use that as an advantage. There aren't too many riders that can put out 11 or 1200 watts on demand. So if you have that in your repertoire, you can use that to bridge up open gaps. You know, even against climbers in certain situations. Takes a lot of force to do triple digit watts. Just soft pedaling. My reserves are topped off. I'm not hungry, thirsty, or anything. So right now it's just, I'm just chilling. So by doing the kind of riding we've done in the past, my recovery is up there. If you're under-trained, you do an effort like that, it will take you longer to recover. Then you will be out of breath.
Thank you.
That's Mike Beredas complimenting Paul on his kit. He's squared away.
Stay sharp, stay frosty.
Okay.
Stay tight on his wheel.
All right. Yes, Professor. Yes, you are.
So we're coming towards the end of Springbranch Road. We're going to be turning left. There's more climbs on the left than on the right. And this will take us into Dobbins, which will lead us into Mount Mariah.
Good pull, man.
Good morning. Oh, we're going to Orhate.
Jorge's is in Dacus. We don't stop there, we go by there. I don't like the store. It's kind of, the restrooms are not exactly updated. Yeah, I find out this road has been paved. This road used to be real crappy. So this stretch, probably for the next 5K, let's say, is paved nicely. And then it gets back on the old choppiness that we encounter out here. This is a nice job they did here, because it's not a very busy road. So I don't know who called who, but the loudest can gets the grease. This is probably 3 or 4%, this little bump here. This is nice. I wish they would pave the entire thing all the way, then replace the wooden bridge that you're gonna see us go over. That wooden bridge just rattles your teeth. Hell, the boards are not close together. Then you got rivets. It's hard on everything. It shakes you up. Go ahead and cut the corner, you can see better. You know, see if there's a car on the right, because the left is clear. You know, you see that quickly. So Kenny is pushing through here because this is a chip seal here, kinda, and it's choppy, and then the wind. You look to the right, there's no trees. It's exposed, and we're going 300 some watts. So if you've done an effort and you have not prepared yourself with proper base training, then you won't have the recuperation to continue what's going on here. And that's what happens to riders and groups. You don't have to do an effort like that to get dropped. It's the repeats that get to you. So even if you're sitting in and the group hits a couple of hills back to back to back, before you know it, you go into like a shock to your system. You know, when you cross the red and you're not recuperating properly, and you can't tolerate working beyond your aerobic zone. So there's a lot that goes into training for all sports. So don't just go out there and start following a faster rider. You will fry yourself. You have to do the proper preparation. Know your limits. Stay a little to the right so I can read the road, because I'm trying to avoid all those ruts that I can.
Oh, hate
it. Paul doesn't like crappy roads. I just take the weight off. You know, I don't have to stand to take the weight off. I can transfer to the pedals. Just gonna raise myself off the saddle briefly, but I stood back there. I saw it coming. We've been through here many times. So I'm finding the smoothest path where possible. And sometimes you can't avoid it, it's across the whole road. This is not a major thoroughfare, so they're not in a hurry to pave it. Even that little stretch that they paved back there, that's why I said somebody had to call someone. I didn't realize we were going this fast. It's almost 25 miles an hour on this crappy road. In a few kilometers, we'll go over the wooden bridge, and then we see some other riders that used to do Team RR rides, but they're riding with from a location called Zanti, a group. I guess they call it Zanti group. I don't know if that's the name of the group, but that's where they leave from. We see them; they're scattered little groups on the road. They're headed the opposite direction through here. Kelly back there. Yeah, you see how we're spread out because we're going very fast, and this is a descent. We're doing almost 31 miles an hour. You don't need to be right up on the person in front of you. You need a little bit of room to make corrections where necessary. And then we're coming to this wooden bridge, so we scrub off all the speed pretty much. And look at that, he shakes the camera. And Kenny continues to push. So I ride up to them. The camera dipped a little bit from where the connection was. That's what Paul probably straightened it already, or he's going to straighten it. That's why you see it's low. It bounced so much that the attachment moved. The hinge. Yeah, that bridge needs to go. It's about the only wooden bridge out here. They've already fixed the 2 wooden bridges that used to be on Mount Mariah. That's how I take these tracks. I stand. It's easy on the bike, easy on you. This is where we see the Zanti riders. They're standing on the side of the road there on the left. 2 of them going over here. There's more standing, and we see one coming from the other side. I guess Paul doesn't realize, there they are. Paul doesn't realize the camera is low. I think he finds out later. Probably finds out when we get up to 1486 up there. Because right here, you can see the top. It's cutting off the top of our heads. Because it has moved on the hinge where it's attached, and he's not aware of it. The road has a lot of cracks, crevices, patina. Like an old friend. So Ken is pushing. He said, I'm doing 400 and some watts. So you got to be in shape to handle these repeats. Now he's pulling off. I'm going to let him know that that's a blind corner because cars appear. You can't see them very well. The road is a curve to the left. Look at the camera. Paul, he's finally adjusting it. I told him to stop. You see that car just came out. There's a blind corner right there.
This is a horrendous corner here.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's best to go through that time.
That road was so bumpy. It shifted the camera back. Terrible.
That wooden bridge is bumpy. You have to do a quick dive.
So this road is 1486. We're going southbound. And it's going to take us to the exchange for Mount Mariah Road. And we're going to go north on Mount Mariah. This is close to our first stop, which is a gas station at 105 in Mount Mariah. So when we come the other way, Mount Mariah is a turn on that part of the triangle. This is bringing us to the same road that will take us up to 105, right in the heart of Dobbins, Texas.
Watch me.
What Mike Barreras likes about this area is that you don't have to go very far to get rural. You know, he calls it being on the shoulder of the city. And that's what I liked about it as well. So when we were moving from in town, we headed out where we used to come out. Mike's going to ask Pedro in a little bit, is this pace not fast enough for you? Because Pedro moved up like he was going to pass him. Because right now we're getting to the stop, so there's no point in racing to the stop. So we're kind of just riding along, you know, because we know we're going to be stopping. And I don't know. Yeah, that's probably what they're talking about. He said, I can make it faster later. Something like that. Because he's always the first to complain that we're going too fast. I have one bottle on the bike for two reasons. I drink before I leave. That's just my thing. And with the stops and everything, that's a 500 milliliters bottle. You have to make sure you have enough fluid for you and your needs. So I'm drinking about 1,000 liters, say every couple of hours, something like that. Or milliliters, I'm sorry. 1,000 milliliters. I don't think my stomach can handle 1,000 liters. Make sure you have enough water so you don't run out. And then at the stops, refill when necessary. I think that's what they're talking about. Is it not fast enough for you or whatever? But it's kind of like, then Abby goes to the front. I don't even know what he's doing.
Abby's tired of waiting. He's going to go.
How are you doing, Miss Kelly?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just chilling.
All right.
Kelly.
You don't get a mount for that to mount it?
Yeah, we do. However, we like to get the different angles when we're filming.
Yeah.
We don't want it just fixed. We want to be able to rotate.
Yeah. Still, that means you gotta. It'd be nice if you could like clip it or something. Paul just likes the handicap. I don't know how he does that. I know. It's like he rides the whole ride holding that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it has become part of me.
Does that mean you just use your right brake?
Well, I use both.
Yeah,
You see, yeah, when I
brake
saw
and hold
here,
it?
yeah, I can brake here and there. Yeah, it works.
They're talking about the
about
camera.
that.
The
I
camera
wouldn't
is
be able
not
to do
being
that. I might be
held
able to hold
in the
all that.
air. The camera
Yeah,
is
I
kind
have long fingers.
of resting.
It helps.
The camera is resting. It's not. You're not carrying it suspended. And after years of doing it, we're very accustomed to it. I ride with it all the time. I make a lot of little films for the members. At this point, we've stopped and we're headed back home. This is after our stop. We've gone through the forest. We stopped at Taco, and Paul has decided to film after leaving Taco Corner. We are on the FM 2854 Southbound, going back into town. And as you can see, the pace has not let up. So it was a very fast ride. We're going to be turning soon onto Mill Route in a few kilometers. I'm not sure what they're doing out here. The pavement was fine. They came and they started putting down asphalt on one part of it. Then they stopped for a while, put barrels. It's like, I'm not sure what they were fixing. I don't, it's almost like they had extra asphalt to waste or something. That's Doug back there on his TT bar. That's what I was talking about. So because he's riding, he's getting used to that position. I think it's a new bike. He's waving at the camera. So he stays off the wheels a bit so he can work on his position and how things feel. So most of the ride, he kind of hung back like Jerry does. Jerry does something similar too, because Jerry's got clip-on bars on his bike.
Come back!
I don't know what Abby's doing. Yeah, the car slowed down, and now we're gonna go. He saw us, so we're gonna turn off the highway. I've got a smart DV camera that I'm testing. It's made by Magic Shine. They sent that in. I'm making sure I test it before I review it. It's a digital video camera that also has lights and everything, so you can film what's happening behind you, and whenever there's an incident, it has an accelerometer that will know whenever you fall or something. It will film up to a minute to record what happened, but it films before you fall, and then it makes sure that it protects that entire file, so you get a record of any incident you encounter.
No.
So I'm asking him if the camera's on, because I'm about to turn it on. You can't really see it. I end up turning it on a bit. So we drift off the back a little bit.
The whole thing's off?
Yeah, it was off. Yeah, it's still off.
So the camera is off. That's just my light. The light blinks. It's really very effective. I'm using the same mount for the CME 300 for this one. It has its own strap that you can use. So right about here, I'm going to turn it on, and then he'll let me know, because he can see there's a circle that comes on when the camera's running. I'm trying to remember where the buttons are.
Your hands still cover it. Let me see. Yeah. Well,
It's still off.
No, I don't see
The
it.
camera's off. We're not talking about the light that you see.
No, not at all.
So the camera's off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn
Because
it.
it has the circle.
Yeah, he's looking for that circle.
So none of the lights are off.
The lights are off, all of them.
Yeah, all of them are off. So that let me know that I was on the right button. So I go back and now I hold it to reboot everything.
Okay, the light came on, and now it's circling.
Now the
There we
camera's
go.
working. You see that circle at the top? It's faint because the camera is really not reproducing it very well. But the camera's recording everything behind me now. It does I set it up for a 3-minute loop. You decide how you want to loop your videos. So it has an 8 gigabyte card that it comes with, a small SD card, micro SD card. So I've taken some shots and I've kept it. I will include them in the review. Because I like to do my reviews where I'm showing people how to use the product, because the instructions that come with it are not very complete. And the app that comes with it is very basic. So I tested the app, but personally I prefer to just take the card out and put it in my computer and deal with the videos than to deal with the app. But I will cover both processes. I will let people make an informed decision before they spend their dollars on something like that. I like the form factor, I like the quality, and it just works well. The car in that curve. So yeah, so as a rule, whenever I go around blind curves, I never go on the opposite side. I just assume there's always a car there. Where you see me is where I ride 100% of the time on these kind of roads. I keep a buffer between me and the passing and the oncoming traffic in the opposite direction. That's why when I'm riding, I focus on reading the road and paying attention. That's your responsibility. You're out there, you gotta know what's going on around you. Even when you're walking, be aware. Don't put on headphones that you can't hear the world and you're outside. You want to do that? Do it at home. You're going to be outside. You need to hear what's coming up. You know, it might be important. Yeah, my shoe, the tongue felt uncomfortable, so I was adjusting it. And I continue to do that to the point where Doug said, yeah, why don't you do that? Why you do mine when you're down there? I said, oh, no, I'm just loosening. He thought I was tightening up. I said, no, I'm loosening because, you know, throughout the ride, your feet can swell sometimes. And we've been riding for almost 5 hours because the duration up there does not include the 45 minutes that we spent, almost an hour getting to the start. So we ride early in the morning, we chill, we do a slow pace to the group so we can catch up for the, you know, on the happenings during the week when we weren't able to chat. That's our normal routine. So we turn off a mill route onto Southpine, you'll see the watts go up. Somebody went hard at the front. That's the kind of foolishness that happens in the group. It's not in the accident. They're going hard at the front to make the people at the back work. That's why the back is not easy. And then now they sit up. So who did that? What was the point of that? As opposed to just being steady. Anyway. But that's what happens in groups. You got to be able to adapt and overcome. Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah, we call those because sometimes, you know, the cars might not, the driver might not see you, so we're always watching them. I'm always watching. So in that situation, if a driver turns in front of me, I'm going to be making a hard right turn and go where he's coming from to avoid a collision where possible. So we're always watching for that. Anything that can cross your path. Even the squirrels. The squirrels always cross late. I don't want them getting in my wheel between the spokes. You know. So I'm always watching them because squirrels will get on the road and stop. Get on the. They never just run across the road. They're always stopping and checking. You know, making sure no predators after them. And that's what makes cycling interesting. You're dealing with so much. You get a lot of stimulation. That's why it's such an excellent sport, and that's why being outside is good for the human mind and body. You need stimuli. This will bring us up to Raven Chapel Road. We usually go the other direction. This is where we're usually turning right to go downhill. We've been climbing here. So you don't need a very large group. This group was a good size. We got about 10 riders we started with. That's what you want. We're not so big that we're impeding traffic or they have to take long to pass us even when we're in a straight line. So I think it's a perfect amount. 10 to 12 riders, good. As far as training, 3 to 5 is great. You get to go to the front. So when you want to work hard, try to take your pull and roll back into the group in 5th or 6th position so you get to go back up to the front soon when you're feeling good. I'm sure the other riders won't mind that don't want to put their nose in the wind. This is Ribbon Chapel South. The road's going to go up ahead. You can see the speeds we're doing. I think it might be Kenny pulling. No, let's see who's there. Yeah, I think it might be Kenny. No, it's Mike. I think it's Mike Barreras. I'm trying to make sure. I think he's pulling. Maybe Kenny's behind us. Behind the Kenny. So that was Mike who went around that corner and increased the effort back there because he's still at the front. The crafty wizard from San Diego, California. The wizard is not deterred. That's from a Daffy Duck commercial. You have to adapt and overcome. That's the military thing. So the first rider checks. I don't know. I think a car appears, but we're already going. No, not on this one. We're going as a train. And I think Mike is pulling off the front here. Pedro takes over.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, Paul tells me to go ahead. I ask him if he's okay. Doug, and then Kenny and Mike B.
The English Mike showed me even a better cutoff. Go back. What he showed me was on Homia. So before you even get back to it, on Homia, there's a right-hand turn and you end up in a place in a neighborhood. Yeah.
Left on Capitol.
Yeah, that's the neighborhood that,
Left on Capitol to Fishcreek.
right?
So my frame that I'm on is a 72-degree seat tube angle, this blue one. If it were 73, I wouldn't be able to get my saddle back far enough. That's another reason I don't buy off the rack, because these manufacturers have gotten lazy. All their bikes, like Canyon, we're looking at a Canyon bike, and all the frames from small to 2XL, the seat angle was 73.5. I said, that doesn't even make any sense. How can all your frames have the same seat angle? That's like having one size shoe for everybody. So the route was planned to where we're going to take all the possible hills. So we're going to be turning left, because that will take us up Capitol Hill Road. That's where it got the name. It's a long hill with a 5% bump at the top. We usually come the other way down that hill. Is a long descent. This time we get to climb it. The Doug would tell me, say, I usually don't come this way that much. I told him, yeah, well, Jerry told me this was harder, so this is the way to go. I said, this is for all the old climbers. I'm talking about Abby. I'm bugging Abby. He liked to call himself old man. And then Laura and Kelly and Abby, and then what's his name? John Mulbrecht. John's not here today. I said this was their climb. Yeah, we got a good shot. You can see it's a long climb. It's nice. That's what this climb is for. Kelly, Laura, and Abby. I'm messing with Abby. It gets to around 5%, right about here. Then it levels off. I'm telling them they're breaking up Kelly's rhythm. They're all over the road. You know, she had to dodge a few rear wheels. we're approaching Fishcreek thoroughfare. This section of it is called McCaleb Road until we get to the overpass. Then it becomes Fishcreek thoroughfare. And the actual creek is in this area, this road we're on. It's in that neighborhood we just came off of. There's a creek on the map called Fishcreek. So we turn, and Kenny's in the distance, or he's slowing down. I'm going to come up, and I'm telling him I'm not getting up front, but I didn't want to lose my momentum after the corner, so I accelerated out of the corner.
That's the problem, those corners, man.
That's what I told him. I said, I'm not going up there, and we laughed. Because I drifted up on the side to just keep that free speed instead of hitting the brakes and having to accelerate back up. Ken is going to be turning right to go home. He lives out here somewhere. He's going to be turning right in about maybe a kilometer. This way he's turning to go home. That will take him to 2854.
Hi, Kenny.
So he rode into town from here to start the ride. It's probably about a 45-minute ride. Whenever I come through here, I use the main lanes because there's a lot of debris on the right. And in a little bit, there will be a sewer grate that they put there to drain this thing when it rains. And it encroaches on most of the shoulder. That's what Abby's probably pointing at. I just use the main lane. Or there it is. I don't get near that thing. I don't want anything to catch my wheel. So behind him, we're on the road because I had already pointed that out to Mike Barreras. I said, watch out for that sewer grate. It's amazing what you remember. So in a little bit, Abby's going to pull off the front, and Paul's going to say, I need an object to film. And once I see that, I just go ahead and roll to the front. And I believe he pulls off the front, I come to the front, then he comes back to the front. So I'm like, what was that about? You should have just stayed there. This section of Fishcreek right here, we always miss it when we use Leo Drive to come to it. It's a nice climb. It gets to about 4.5%, I believe. So now he's accelerating off the front, literally, which this is not riding with the group. That's an attack in a way, you know. I'm not sure what he's looking back for because you change the pace so dramatically. Then he's going to pull off the front.
I have to have an object to film.
So when I see that, I just ride to the front because it's like, if you're attacking a group, that's fine, but don't accelerate and look behind like you expecting somebody to be on your wheel. You change the pace dramatically. So the group maintained its pace. So I'm just gonna come and keep the group pace going here. And then he's gonna come back to the front. I'm like, so why did you pull off? Because I would have just stayed where I was. Now he comes back to the front and he changes the effort again. Because you saw my watts go up initially. You got to have a feel for being smooth. Not everybody has that. There's a time to attack. There's a time to work with the group. So if you're working with the group, you got to make it smooth. So I figure I'll let him sit there till he gets tired, and then I'll go ahead and ride. Because right now I'm really just coasting. Blowing from the southeast. At this point of day, this time of day, the direction has changed. It says 35 Celsius. I guess it's the sun hitting my head unit. It didn't get quite that high. Might have been more around 30 Celsius, 85, maybe 33, maybe 90 Fahrenheit. So Abby does these little sneaky accelerations. So right there, he accelerated again. And that kind of stuff can break a rider who is not fit. Now he taps out. I figure, okay, let me go ahead and ride. Settle into a rhythm here. Get us home. I'll go ahead and zip up my jersey because that wind is pounding. I figure let me get some aerodynamic benefit because a cyclist's biggest drag is the wind. More force into the pedals here, but just gradual, just enough to keep the pace about the same. I'll go ahead and shift up. You heard that. Because the road lessened, the grade lessened here. I'm watching that light in the distance. I don't want us to have to catch it and stop there. So I think I soft pedaled a little bit. Paul's gonna drift to the back so he can get everybody. Everybody's coming around.
Yes, sir.
So we make the green light through here. When we do catch the red, that is short, but I didn't want to break up our rhythm. We have a nice rhythm going.
Gotta get the sun profile.
So he's trying to get Doug. Yeah, Doug looks good on that bike. So he was able to get home and find out what was causing the noise, and he got that sorted out, so that was good. So I pull off the front and I slip back in front of Doug. You can hear the noise. That's what his bike was doing. It was louder than that, than what you hear. That's Doug's bike here. Probably just has some play. So we're getting closer to town right now. Wrapping up Fishcreek Boulevard. The wind is always out here. You can still hear it. It got louder and louder as the day went on. Already in the intersection, we'll go ahead and go through the light. This shoulder is going to get wider right about here. So we'll go ahead and use the shoulder. We're approaching the bridge. On the bridge, and at this point there's a bump, a final little climb before we get into town. So if you haven't saved your legs at this point in the ride, let's see, 4 hours plus, let's say 5 hours for us. This is the bump. It's about 5% or so, and they're going pretty hard. So that hill that we went over was 5%. As you can see, it stays around 2% all the way into town. And then the wind is pounding us when the day warms up from the south. So we're dealing with the wind and this grade, and it's almost 6.5 hours into the ride. So you've got to have the endurance, and you got to use your head. Tête de chien. Ride with your head, not just your legs. Head and legs. So we're in town. There's a light coming up. Just kind of sitting in. The light's red, so we turn off the power.
Good ride, ladies and gentlemen. Good ride.
We're still on the shoulder here because we're going to remain on the shoulder even after the light changes. There's a lot of debris there, so I'll go to the right, get around those rocks. But we're going to stay on the shoulder. That's why we went to the side. If you're going to use the main lane, then you stay behind the cars. Don't sneak around on the shoulder and then get in front of them. That's annoying and inconsiderate. So I don't know what you did this weekend, but as you can see, it was a wonderful Saturday for cycling. Remember, get your K's in and keep all the doctors fired.
You don't mind. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta get you in. Here, go, my brother.
Gotta put some estrogen in that.
No, it's still on.
Oh, it's still on? Yeah. Okay. You want to turn it?
Yeah.
Keep it running?
Yeah, we can finish it up.
I think we should just turn it off.